What's up, guys? Welcome back to Project Z Garage. Today we're working on the Audi, one of the more reliable cars that I had, that it finally, as my brother was driving it back into the driveway, the rear main seal gave out, or that's what we think. After further inspection, we're seeing oil come down between the engine and transmission. So today, on this cold day, we're gonna try to pull the transmission out, the clutch, the flywheel, and try to get to the rear main seal. Now, I ordered the rear main seal from ECS Tuning. No sponsors, but what are you gonna do? They got it here pretty fast. There it is. I ended up getting the OEM part, not the aftermarket. As you can see, it has the little Audi symbols on it. I guess that makes it official. And I picked up some RTV silicone sealant just in case we need it on anything. So let's get to it and see what we can do. Actually, you know what? While we're here, let's take a look under the car. I think the oil, actually we cleaned it up, but if you look back there, you can kind of see where the oil was coming down. Alright guys, let's get to it. Guys, we got the car jacked up. As you can see, there's oil all over the exhaust, our S4 exhaust that we installed. Also, the JHM downpipe to Y pipe, that's covered in oil. So that's a mess. So then what we're gonna do is pull the exhaust off, then support the engine and transmission and take this cross member off, and then see. Then we're gonna have to start working on getting the transmission out. And as we're doing all that, hopefully start cleaning up all this oil that's all over the place under here. Alright guys, stay tuned. Taking off the downpipe so far, and we've disconnected the front axles. I don't know if you can see that from here. It's kind of hard to film. So that axle's off, and the axle over there has been disconnected. We've also disconnected the drive shaft. It's right there. Let me get a better look. Definitely, if you're gonna do this, get yourself a good set of triple square sockets and whatever the 6-point sockets are. I forgot what they're called. But I'm gonna try and see if I can put in the description below the sizes that we used. There was a 6mm Allen head socket that we used to take off the drive shaft nuts. I believe it's an M10 triple square that we use to remove the cover and to take off the front axles. And now we're working on getting the starter out, and then after that I think we're gonna start seeing what other connections we can take off before we support the transmission and take off that transmission cross member, and kind of try to lean it back a little so that we can get to the bolts around the front of it. You're also gonna have to disconnect the shift linkage. If I can get a better shot once we get closer to taking that off, I'll try to show you guys what we did there. It's a little difficult to film anything when you're under the car on just jack stands, but I think we can get it done. Alright guys. Alright, so we finally got the transmission out. Boy, was that a pain. Al's right now trying to get the clutch off. We have the tool to put in the middle to make sure it's aligned, but we had to check and make sure we had the right tool for it. Now we're slowly taking off all of the bolts holding the clutch to the flywheel. I think these were a 6 out?
6 millimeter.
6 millimeter. I'm telling you, anybody who wants to try to do this at home, it's a huge pain in the butt. Those bottom bolts of the transmission is almost impossible to get to with the frame in the way, the
K-frame.
The K-frame, or I know in the instructions it tells you that you need to either drop the back of the K-frame or the cradle, the engine cradle, so that you can get those bolts, but we were able to just jack up on the transmission a little bit and squeeze our hand in with a open-ended wrench to get them out. Yeah, the slave cylinder looks like it's seen better days, so I'm gonna see if I can find a replacement for that. So when we put it back in, we might as well do whatever we need to do now. Yeah, so now if you're gonna get this far with it, you might as well do any maintenance that you need to do. I'm thinking that the slave cylinder on my clutch needs to get replaced. The rubber grommet over it is pretty bad, deteriorated.
How's the clutch look?
Let's see, let's take a look. It doesn't look too bad. Now this is the OEM RS4 clutch that we got from JHM Motorsports with their lightweight flywheel, which looks a little...
No, it's not that bad. Some heat shit went on, but it's not that bad.
Yeah. So we might want to like give it a little...
Yeah, you can use a Scotch Brite on that.
Scotch Brite or something on it.
It doesn't look bad at all.
To clean it up a little more.
You're gonna have to hold this as I get off these triple. I need triple square.
Yeah. Should we put it on the air gun, or you think we can get it out with just?
You want me to put it on the air gun?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
I mean, we're taking it off. When we can put it back on, we'll do it by hand. And
no problem. So you gotta hold it steady and let me.
And the torque wrench.
Take it off, yeah.
All right, guys. So let's get the flywheel off, and then we'll take a closer look at it. All right, guys. Here's the clutch. We got out. We got it on the table. We did found some damage on the back of the flywheel, where it attaches to the motor, where the rear main seal is. There's like a piece of metal here that must have gotten caught when, at some point, I don't know if it came off of this plate, but there is a bend in it right there. So I don't know if that's what caused it or caused damage to it, and it caused the rear main seal to fail. So this is the old rear main seal that we just took off. You can see it's got damage on the side, on the actual rubber. I was worried that it was pressure in the crankcase that caused it, but it looks like it was a piece of metal that came off of either that spacer plate or whatever, and it went in and just damaged it. So we're gonna try to clean all this up, Scotch Brite everything, and yeah, you can see there, it's got some hot spots on it, but it's smooth. I don't know if that's just regular wear and tear from the material. but I'll get some Scotch-Brite, just clean it up a little bit, see if we can get some of the glazing off of it. Honestly, it might even be some oil that leaked onto this. Not sure, but here's the new one. Here's the old one. So cross our fingers we can get this all back together. Alright guys, now let's go into the car and see how the back of the motor looks. Well, as you can see, there's a lot of oil that was coming down, so we're gonna have to spray this down with brake cleaner, make sure everything's nice and clean, and then like I said before, I think we need a new slave cylinder. This one looks pretty badly beat up or deteriorated, whichever one you want to call it. It's missing the front of the boot. But everything else, on the most part, I don't see any other leaks. Just what came down from the back of the motor here. I don't know if you can get a good view of that. It's kind of tight under here. And then we have the front of the transmission there with the throw out fork and bearing. That's got some oil in there too, so we're gonna have to spray that out too and clean it good before we put it back together. Hey, what's up guys? It's another day, if you can't tell, and we decided to stop after we pulled the transmission, the clutch, the flywheel out of the car so that I can order a new clutch slave cylinder, because that looked pretty well beat up, and we wanted to clean everything and get some other gaskets and stuff that we could put everything back together new. We did find a little bit of metal on the back of the flywheel, so something must have fell behind there or scored it or something that caused damage to the rear main seal. So just to be safe, I want to drop the oil pan and check the oil pickup and make sure there's no metal pieces in there that might cause damage to the motor. To do that, we're gonna have to end up dropping the subframe or the K-frame, whatever you guys want to call it, and we need to support the motor. I actually went to Harbor Freight to pick up one of those engine hoists, but they ran out of the 1-ton hoist there, so I ended up looking on Amazon and found something that's called an engine support beam, or that literally spreads between the inner fender rails and supports the engine that way. We could jack the engine up a little bit and then you know, chain it up, so this way when we drop it down, it'll support the back of the motor so it won't twist and like fall down when we lower the rear part of the subframe, so that we can get the oil pan off. Just so you understand what I'm saying, it's gonna pretty much rest in these channels on either side of the motor, and then it'll have a beam across, a metal beam, and then we can hook it to this engine jacking point or lifting point. This way the motor won't tilt back on us or fall down, and I'm hoping it'll be able to take enough weight off of the subframe so that we don't have any problems. And while we have the transmission out, here it is. As you can see, it's pretty dirty. We're gonna try to clean this up, make sure it's nice and clean. As you can see, all the oil that was flowing down in there really messed everything up. Guys, before we end this video, I wanted to go over some of the specialty tools that you need to get the transmission off in these Audis and some of the other European cars. One of the tools that I see some of the other YouTubers that have been working on Audi based, Lamborghini, some of them have these triple square sockets, if you look at it. And the type of nut that goes into is this. This is actually out of the flywheel. This is what holds the flywheel to the crank. And as you can see, if you don't have this, you're gonna have a hard time getting these bolts off. So definitely, if you have any type of Audi, Volkswagen, you know, I don't know if BMW also uses this, or Mercedes, but I think they do. Get yourself a good set of these. For this flywheel, it's a M12 for these bolts. And remember, these bolts are not reusable. They're stretch bolts, so you need to replace this every time you take your flywheel off. Some of the other tools that you will need, and I found very handy, are these torque star bits. These are really handy to taking off like some of the trim. I believe some of the covers also use this. That covers the axles and things like that. So those are good to have. Definitely a good set of like your 6-point like Allen head sockets. You know, like, definitely get a good assortment of those. So I think we're gonna end it here for today until we get the parts in. You know, we want to probably in the next video start pulling the oil pan off and show how we get the oil pan off, and maybe review that engine brace that I ordered. Until next time, remember to follow me on Instagram at Project Z Garage, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and feel free to leave a comment below. Please click the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this, and keep wrenching.